He moved up in weight. He's beaten anybody that they put in front of him. He beat an undefeated fighter in Errol Spence that everybody thought was just like, you know, one of the best fighters out there, which he was.
Because boxing is not all about knocking somebody out. Yes, that's part of it. That can happen, but boxing is a sport where you can outpoint somebody.
Gervonta Tank Davis recently slammed Terrence "Bud" Crawford, calling him foolish for chasing a fight with Canelo Alvarez. Davis questioned Crawford's reasons, hinting that money is the main motive. After Tank's remarks, British promoter Eddie Hearn weighed in. Hearn admitted Crawford is a once-in-a-generation fighter with amazing talent, but doubted he could beat Canelo. According to Hearn, even with Crawford's skill, he doesn't see him getting past Canelo's strength, size, Adding more to the conversation, Canelo had kind words for Terrence Crawford. He said Crawford is a top-tier fighter and he likes how he moves, but noticed that he moves around a lot. Canelo explained that he prefers toe-to-toe action in the ring. He said, "In my weight class, it's an easy fight and easy money." Canelo also mentioned that Crawford thinks moving up in weight is simple due to his talent, but warned that the truth is very different.
Right. How's that cool? Good life. All right, run him up. Good life. Teach him build. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
On the other side, Alexander Usyk openly backed Terrence Crawford in a possible bout against Canelo Alvarez. As a close friend, Usyk expressed full belief in Crawford's talent and even joked by calling him a wild man. Usyk said Crawford's skills and fight IQ are strong enough to take down Canelo, giving him the edge if they ever face off.
Watch the right hand for the decoy.
Y'all know chess? Nice. Nice. That's how Star work. You know how to work. You know how to get the most out of everything. Good job, champ.
Tyson Fury also shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, calling it a fascinating matchup. He praised both fighters' achievements and talent, saying they're both top-tier athletes. The heavyweight champ said he's so interested in the fight that he'd happily buy the pay-per-view to see how it plays out live.
I'm going with Terrence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terrence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terrence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can be.
In a surprise move, Errol Spence Jr. voiced his support for Terrence Crawford in a possible showdown with Canelo Alvarez. Even though they've had a tense rivalry in the past, Spence made it clear he would be cheering for Crawford if the fight happens. While he didn't predict a winner, Spence said he's sticking with Bud, win or lose.
Canelo's a stronger guy, the bigger guy, but in the fight with a guy that moves around, and if Crawford uses his skills and his legs and his technique and just his ability, I think he can win he can win the fight in decision as long as he doesn't get hit with those big shots from Canelo.
With the heat rising, Terence Crawford didn't hold back when talking about Gervonta Davis, making it clear he's not a fan. Crawford said something about Tank's attitude rubs him the wrong way, calling him a cocky little guy. Even though he admitted Davis is a strong fighter, Crawford pointed out that he doesn't like how Tank acts or carries himself.
You fought them both. Like, what are the differences between them?
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. They both hit hard because, and you could see the strength when I was fighting against Crawford. He is very strong as well. So, look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much away? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go for fighting Canelo?
Not staying quiet, Gervonta Davis clapped back at Terence Crawford, calling him a hater and questioning people who judge without knowing him. Davis was upset with folks making comments without ever meeting him.
Where do you think he could go?
Canelo
said he don't. He's like
Canelo, man. Canelo got to get off that shit. And I think the best versus the best.
You don't think the size difference is gonna play a factor again?
I mean, that's y'all opinion.
Yeah.
That's everybody else's opinion. But my opinion is different. I think that Bud could do anything that he want to do. I think that with Charlo, it was just a different story. I think Bud got the skills that can keep him at that high level with Canelo, where the size won't play a part. And I seen, honestly, like, Canelo is a great fighter. I don't take nothing away from him. I see a lot of holes.
Standing firm on his opinion, Davis again took aim at Crawford, saying the real reason Crawford wants to fight Canelo is money. Davis believes it's not about legacy or competition, but about the big paycheck that comes with stepping in the ring with one of boxing's biggest names.
And after really the Triple G fight is when we've seen the slippage on Canelo. And over the last 2 years, it's been immediately apparent. It's been apparent straight away over the last 2 years. Canelo's feet have always been slow. He's always been very slow-footed. So when people are saying, oh, it looks like his legs are slowing down, yeah, they are. They've never been quick, but now they're even slower, which is a problem. And Jim Lampley on commentary on Friday night show was saying that one of Canelo's biggest strengths is his legs. It generates power and it helps with his punch resistance. Well, those legs are sliding and that power is diminishing. Canelo hasn't had a stoppage win now since he knocked out Caleb Plant in 2021. And yeah, he's dropped some of these guys, not been able to go through the gears. His gas tank, you can put that into question as well. And Canelo Alvarez, come July, 35 years old. So he is, look, Canelo's been around so long and his real prime was in his mid-20s. So we associate Canelo, mid-20s to early 30s. So we kind of associate Canelo with that. I don't want to say ever young, but you know, he is still young, just not in boxing senses. But he's been around so long, 20 years a pro, and he's been at world levels for probably 15 of those. You're going to expect some slippage. And I think in this fight, an opponent, it was very negative, yes, but an opponent who Canelo Alvarez of 5 years ago would have handled.
Taking things even further, Gervonta continued to question Crawford's undefeated run, finding it odd that he stayed flawless while moving through different divisions. Though he admitted Crawford has talent, Davis mentioned past moments, like being hurt by Yuriorkis Gamboa, to raise doubts. He stirred the pot more by mentioning snack nutrition and comparing it to the infamous Balco scandal involving Snack's current CEO Victor Conte, hinting at shady stuff behind Crawford's success.
And it left us with the question, how much does Canelo actually have left in his pro career? The fight was finished, and then they brought Terence Crawford in the ring to announce that mega fight in September, and that leaves me with even more questions, and thank God they did that, because actually it gives us a few interesting talking points from There's Enough Left. Well, you could argue Canelo got it tactically wrong tonight, because I just don't understand why he didn't use his jab more. I understand that he was conserving energy, he was patient, he was taking it slow. He doesn't lead off with the jab much anymore, Canelo. But really, the jab helps you bring your feet closer and bring them into range, so I don't understand why he wasn't jabbing more. He can't use that much extra energy for him to not be able to use his lead hand just a bit more in that fight. So that was a bit concerning, and you could maybe argue that he knows Crawford's ringside, he knows the fight is done for September. He maybe doesn't want to show him too much, or he wants to give him maybe false confidence or false hope. I don't think that's the case. I think you get rid of stiff skull if you can. And I'm just not sure Canelo is able to do it anymore at that level. Definitely good enough to beat a guy like Skull. Skull was clearly terrified of the power, but, you know, what does this mean for a fight like Crawford? Well, the first thing I noticed was in the face-off, and I'm sure Crawford was wearing quite thick-soled trainers, as he quite often does, but the size difference didn't look that bad. It really didn't. Like, I thought there was way more of a size difference between them, but actually, Canelo, yes, will weigh more on the night, almost questionably, but Crawford's taking the whole year to work his way up to 168, having been at 154 in his last fight. That's like 14 pounds, which is 7 kilos difference of weighing on the night. Now, Canelo would probably be like 10, 15 pounds heavier than him, but at the end of the day, what Skull was able to do in there tonight.
Responding to the claims, Terence Crawford defended himself, saying that money is simply part of the sport. He explained that professional fighters naturally aim to earn, and chasing big money fights is part of the business. Crawford denied that. He's only looking for a paycheck with the Canelo bout, and explained that big rewards come with taking big risks against the best fighters.
Look up the definition of boxing. Please, please, look up the definition of boxing. The martial arts of boxing, and then come back with your opinion. Because boxing is not all about knocking somebody out. Yes, that's part of it. That can happen, but boxing is a sport where you can outpoint somebody too. That's why they go to the scorecard.
I appreciate that take, bro. That's real educated, man, real thoughtful. But you know, you ain't had a decision win in a long time, bro. You know, you known for like being a great finisher. So I appreciate that. But that ain't how you moving though. Right.
Crawford didn't stop there. He also fired back at Gervonta Davis by criticizing Tank's recent fight with Lamont Roach. Crawford accused Davis of showboating in the ring and even pointed out when Tank took a knee. He added that even without that moment, Davis didn't do enough to beat Roach and fell short overall.
You understand me? You see what that say? Jermell Charlo is the WBA junior middleweight champion in recess. Jermell Charlo is the WBC junior middleweight champion in recess. Nah, man. Virgil Ortiz Jr. is the WBC intern junior middleweight champion. Nah, man. So make it make sense. People gotta make it make sense. Charlo's still a big dog there. Yeah, that's my camera behind me. Charlo's still a big dog there. So a lot of people need to get their facts straight. You understand? Opinions don't matter. It's all facts. No opinions. Sport podcast. And I'm always going to bring you the real, never the fake. And I'm never late on the news. You hear me? Get at me, man. Dollar.
Be great. That'll be 3 times. If you go 154 and win the belt, that's 3 times super. Mm-hmm. Then I said, chase super greatness. Come on, Canelo. 160.
Well, if he can get in there with Charlo in like his next 2 fights where he still got age on his side, then maybe go up again. Like if he's trying to chase the greatness. But I mean, he already done something that's never been done. Charlo don't want none of that smoke.
Taking a more thoughtful view, the WADE concept gave his take on Crawford's size, saying people make too much of a big deal about it. He noted that Crawford doesn't look small and has never struggled moving up in weight. According to Wade, Crawford is handling the jump smoothly, and the talk about him being too small is likely exaggerated.
I think Crawford wants this fight a lot. He wants this fight, and I think he will be more active than Canelo's previous opponent, and he has different mentality. He has champion mentality. I think fight will be much more interesting.
What do you make of the weight in that fight, the weight difference?
I think Crawford will not let Canelo just walking on the ring when he wants, you know, because we could see this fight. Canelo did everything. When he want to rest, he could rest easy, you know, in this fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, when he wants to work, that guy didn't give him work. He just rest.
And
I think with Crawford, it will be harder to rest.
Who do you think wins?
I don't know. It's a very interesting fight, but I don't know. We'll see.
Adding to that, the WADE concept highlighted that 168 pounds is a tough division, even for Canelo. Terence Crawford agreed and pointed out that Canelo is actually often the smaller guy in that class. Crawford argued that people quickly assume Canelo is bigger just because of weight class, and he used Tyson Fury's loss to Usyk as proof that size alone doesn't win fights.
The Ring magazine, which is owned by Turkey, reported that Canelo and Crawford have agreed to the September date and that it's essentially on. What is your I know this has been rumored and talked about, but now it seems like a done deal. What's your reaction to this?
It's a good fight. It's a good fight for both of them. Good fight for I think it's more important for Crawford than anybody, but I think if anybody could beat Canelo, I think Crawford could.
Yeah, I know you said like he could be the guy. What kind of a chance do you ultimately give him?
I can give him like a 7 out of a 10.
Oh, just because of the size.
Good. Crawford is good, and I think he's been known that he's going to fight Canelo for a long time. And Crawford, he likes to pick up the weight, so I'm sure he's been working on the weights for a long time. So, Crawford, when he has with a person that has a big IQ like that, if you do enough weights, and you stay working for a long time, you have a.
Meanwhile, Dmitry Bivol, one of the only 2 men to beat Canelo Alvarez, shared his thoughts on the possible fight. He called it a compelling clash and said Crawford could win if he sticks to what he already does well. Bivol highlighted footwork, controlling distance and switching stances as key skills. Since Bivol already beat Canelo, his take gives more weight to the idea that Crawford has a real shot.
Well, come on, he's human. So he had a few hiccups. He won the fight. He's Terence Crawford. A lot of people say, "Oh, Teddy, you make him so good. You're always saying how great Crawford is." But who's he beating? He unified the what was his first division? Lightweight. Then he unified the junior. Then he unified the junior welter. Then he unified the welter. I think I got the weight classes right. It doesn't matter. He unified like 3 different weight classes. He moved up in weight. He's beaten anybody that they put in front of him. He beat an undefeated fighter in Errol Spence that everybody thought was just like one of the best fighters out there, which he was. Fighters pound for pound out there, and he didn't just beat him, he dismantled him. He might have ruined him. We were talking about getting ruined in fights earlier. He might have ruined him. We don't know. He hasn't been back yet, Spence. He may have psychologically, physically ruined him. But he has done everything asked of him, and he's done it in a superb way. It's not that he's just won. I look at how people win. How versatile are they? How mentally together are they? What happens when they're tested? What happens when they have to make an adjustment? I look at all those things. What happens when they can't depend on power? What else do they have to depend on? I look at everything, their technique, their defense, their offense, all